Hello and welcome to the director's commentary / critical reflection of our film Backstage. My name is Richard Scott, one half of the film look, and I'm joined here by the other half of the film look, Robert Carr.
Hello there.
It's a bit strange this because usually Rob does that intro during the podcast and I just decided I would steal it this week. We're going to talk about Backstage. Obviously we've been releasing a lot of videos about this film because we've learned a hell of a lot about it. But today we're going to try it a little bit different. We're going to talk about maybe some of the mistakes were made, some of the things we'd like to change, maybe some of the things that we won't really talk about in an episode, but we'll just talk about it in further detail here. It's going to be a bit more informal.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of like a DVD extra you would get, like a director's commentary.
Yeah.
Basically, it's exactly that.
And we're going to do it in the style of our podcast, which is the Film Look Podcast. Good name. And we're going to go through character development, writing, direction, cinematography, special effects, editing, sound design, soundtrack. At the end, we're going to talk about how we would do it differently if we did. And by the end of it, we're going to figure out if this film actually did get the film look.
Yeah, so we'll play it through quite a few times because it's like 9 minutes long. So
Yeah.
we'll end up talking for a little bit longer. And yeah, do you want to go for the first one?
Yeah, so the first thing we usually talk about is character development. So that's like writing and story.
Okay, so this starts with, the medium who you're seeing on screen now in the yellow shirt, and he is an old wrestler, and he's trying to convince the fly swatter, who you're about to see now, who's in the cubicle, to wrestle, and it's basically he's just nervous. He doesn't want to go out. It's his first night, and the kind of character development the medium has more words, more dialogue, and he's a bit more of a rounded character. But the actual, probably the character that really develops the most is the fly swatter, because he overcomes his fear, and it's as simple as that, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and this story was created from Story in a Can. We did release an episode about it, and it was like the object was a fly swatter, the character was medium, the location was a public toilet, and the scenario was the walk of shame.
Yeah, so we kind of cheated a little and we turned the fly swatter into a person who's the wrestler, Dan on screen right now. And yeah, we just developed this story of these are wrestlers, and then this kind of come out of that. So.
Yeah, so the way we did it was, because we did it on Story in a Can together, we then both went away separately and wrote our own versions of the script. And they were pretty similar.
Yeah, they were very close.
Yeah. And then we looked at them, we traded, we give feedback, and then we sort of melded the best bits of both together.
Yeah. So I think like it was my beginning, your middle, and I think we both had a very similar end.
Yeah, so all the bits about Diamond Dallas Page, that was all yours. All the bit where most of the dialogue actually is all yours.
Yeah, but it was kind of the structure, because I think in my original structure, the reason he didn't want to go out because he was nervous was
because his dad
was there, and I didn't really want to use that because it's a bit. We've seen this before. Parents putting lots of pressure on.
You put it in because it had to be in for a reason.
Yeah, and it never felt right. But then I think when we read yours, it was just like, oh, he's just extremely nervous. These two characters are in the backstage, and that's the main reason, and it worked. Through that. So it was interesting process of kind of putting two scripts together, but like it says, they were very similar in character and tone and everything. So
yeah. There was a quote I read a while back. I don't know who it's from, but it was something along the lines of don't go the long way around to tell a short story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we've done here is we've tried to tell something super simple. We're not going for this super complex characters, all this like crazy twists and turns. We went for just the simple. You've got a couple of characters. There's something in the way of something stopping them from doing what they want to do. And
character conflict gold, the characters are here. The fly swatter, he's sitting on the toilet, and his conflict is he's very nervous and going out, and his goal is he finally goes out and wrestles, and that is as simple as that. And we just wanted to show like the world of the backstage of these two characters, and get more of the personalities going across onto the screen, instead of just seeing them in a ring and wrestle, and who wins the match doesn't really matter, because he's
not really about the wrestling, is it?
He's overcome his fear and wrestled in his first ever match, while the medium is his last ever match.
What I really like about the fly swatters as a character is, like, I think most people these days are anxious and nervous people, and if they're not anxious and nervous, they're on drugs or something. And creating a really empathetic character to a lot of people. I mean, I've had it loads where I've stuck myself in a toilet cubicle and I'm just like, I don't want to. I'm making a beeline for the exit here.
Yeah, you know, everyone's been in this situation where they're nervous about going to do something, and that's as simple as the story needs to be. So even though, you know, not many people have been in the situation of the wrestling in the first match, they've all been in the situation of job interview and, you know, going out on a date or something like that. Everyone's been nervous, so, and that's the underlying theme kind of the film.
Yeah. What about critical reflection of the writing and the character development? What do you think?
I think when he does decide to go back, I think there could be a little bit more there. So when he's outside, the scene's coming up now, so the medium's currently telling the fly swatter, this is your night. You can either run home or you can come into the ring. And the next scene, he's just about to run home. And then he sees wrestling fans kind of going in, and he sees the kind of a little bit of a magic of these fans going to see him wrestle, or the medium wrestle, or just the world itself. That's what they're like. I just feel like maybe there could be a little bit more why he turned around. Maybe he does pull away in the car, and, you know, and
he changes his mind quite quickly.
Yeah, I just think there could just be something more there that will make him turn around. Ideally, you know, the kind of crowd, the three fans that you're going to see now, they're all cast and crew. If we did have more time, more budget, you know, a little kid and a father, maybe, and then he might run up to him and the little kid might recognize him or something and go, oh, are you a wrestler? And he's like, yeah, I am, and sees this little kid's eyes like light up.
He signs an autograph.
Yeah, signs an autograph, and he's just like, yep, I need to go back because this is a world, you know, that I want to be a part of. So maybe it's just that.
It's more like a budget issue, that, isn't it?
Budget, yeah, a little bit of time, but other than that, and then kind of the way it resolves, I was very happy with it. And, you know, critical reflection, seeing kind of that the negative side, but I really like the dialogue in this. I really like kind of the Diamond Dallas Page bits and stuff like that. I think Liam has brought it kind of to the next level, and that's one thing I've always struggled with dialogue, and I didn't particularly like it when I was reading it, but when it's acted, it's delivered.
Fits in.
It fits in perfectly. So
yeah. All right. The next thing we've got is direction/execution. So we've talked about that a little bit with maybe getting a bigger crowd at the end, things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like most of it is a budget issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have an awful lot of money. I think you worked out it was about £450 or something
like that we spent on the film
altogether.
Yeah.
That's including sort of the costumes,
which was the big cost of
feeding
costumes,
people, everything. So the entire what came out of our pockets was £450.
Yeah. I mean, with the direction, we'll put some in context to this. We both, we'll just start it again.
Yeah.
See how many times we go through it. The direction, me and Richard both directed this. And we've done that for the past couple of short films, is because we know it inside out, and because we're both doing multiple roles. So Rich does sound, I was on camera. It's actually quite nice to have two people directing, because at least the actor's got someone to go to, and I can concentrate on just framing up while someone's asking you a question, and then if you're not there, they can ask me something, and that kind of works well. But I think we've got a good working relationship. So that just helps us on set. Yeah,
what I like about the way we do things is, like, because we're putting like two minds together, and then we're constantly like in conflict with how everything's working, but because we're doing that, we're sort of slowly funneling into the very best, middle, don't we? Yeah, the very best situation you can get to.
Yeah, like I'll be doing something, you'll be doing something, then we'll meet in the middle, and then that's when we would direct. And it's kind of, if one of us have got any questions, it's like, oh, what's this bit again? I mean, we do know it inside out, but then we've got someone to kind of like rely on when other people are relying on us for the answers.
Yeah.
I mean, the direction, to be honest, with Liam, we told him some of the character traits, but he went away and created this character. We give him slight directions when he was kind of on set, so it's the way he moves his body that I've found really well. So he doesn't just move, he like swings his shoulders around, which you'll actually see when he goes into the taller cubicle in a second. And we give him very subtle direction, and kind of with Dan as well. He doesn't have many lines, but he kind of knew what he needed to do.
I mean, the good thing is we've only ever worked with really good actors, and we haven't had the trouble of having to like over direct someone. And I think that's just it's been a massive privilege so far.
Yeah, I mean with Liam, who plays the medium, the guy in the yellow, he's a well-rounded full character. See that when he turns around there, he kind of swings. He's a well-rounded full character, and he brought a lot of mannerisms to this role. And when we were writing this, we wrote this in mind for Liam because we knew he could do something like this, and he completely knocked it out of the park for I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other kind of the direction and kind of execution, I'm fairly happy with a lot of it. It's kind of just that middle bit where he goes outside, but again, budget issues. So
yeah,
probably.
I think in terms of like it being a technical film, I think we've done everything right. And one thing we've sort of worked on a lot harder with this film was certainly the set design and the costumes. It's not something that we've done to a massive degree because we've never really needed to. It's always been we just turn up to somewhere and change it around a little bit. Or
with this, we had complete control over the location, so we can make it look the way you want. Even that sign behind the medium and Fly Swat's head, we added that in.
Yeah. The choice of the costume, the yellow shirt we made it yellow because we knew that the background was going to be blue and he needed to stick out.
Yeah.
It's all like conscious decisions, I think. Whereas before, we've directed in terms of character performance and then a little bit of story-driven stuff. But this one, like, we went really hard hitting on the pre-production and certainly like things like set design and the whole production design in the film.
Even the posters behind him right now, we made those, and I think they really fit into the kind of the style. And we did spend that little bit of money, and it kind of, you can see that. I think by spending, 100 quid on costumes, it's really helped the film.
Yeah.
Before we, spent 20 quid on a hoodie and that was it. Got people to wear like the own stuff, which sometimes you need to do, and sometimes that's all you need to do. But for this, it's kind of I had to really think about everything. And the beauty of this, we had this room where we could do this. We could add anything to the wall and do anything we really wanted to it, because it was a bit of a rundown venue anyway. So
I think if this was a longer film or if it was a series or something, it would have been nice to spend more time with the actors before the shoot.
Yeah.
We didn't spend almost any time with the actors before the shoot. The good thing is they were great at what they did, and the like you said, knocked it out the park.
Yeah.
But that's something we've said we wanted to do for a while, is do like table reads. But trying to get the time to do table reads with a bunch of cast members seems like
especially
a difficult task.
Yeah, especially when everyone's given up the time for free. All the cast and worked on this for nothing, and it's asking them to do another day. You know, and it's difficult. For longer pieces, we will probably definitely do it. Everyone was kind of on the same page with this, but you just keep in contact with everyone, and if you had more time, more money, and you would, I would love to do table reads, it would, and develop the characters even more, so everyone's on the same playing field and everyone knows.
Really, just again, it's more money in your pocket, and we'd be able to do that.
Yeah,
I think we've stretched the budget as much as we could. I'm really proud that we've made this for 450 quid.
Yeah, I mean the original budget was 350. We thought, that's a good budget to have.
And that wasn't including the food or anything when we first did it.
No, it wasn't.
So in fact, we're probably under budget if we consider just props and costumes and stuff.
This was shot over 3 days, so we provided food and catering and travel for everyone who kind of worked on it. And it was just, so I think, and finding the location where we got it for free, we did donate a little bit of money to it as well, but we got it, we could use it as many times for many days as we want, and it was good.
And that's a massive part of how we've ended up creating something like this. I imagine if we didn't have complete almost 24-hour access to this, exclusive access to this.
One of the, obviously we were looking for a location like this, like a locker room in a gym or something like that, and we soon realised, well, they use 24 hours a day and we can't change the look of them, so we'll be very limited and it wouldn't look grimy, and that's what we wanted. And Emily, the producer, found this location. As soon as we've seen it, this will work. And it's quite a different layout to a boys' bathroom than I've probably ever seen.
But it was perfect.
Yeah, it worked.
It was so strange.
It worked really well. So,
all right, the next thing we've got is cinematography then. So
Okay.
Do you want to go through some of the technical things first?
Yeah, so I'll just go camera-wise first and equipment that we use. So we shot Sony A7S. We've got a bunch of old vintage lenses, so it was mainly shot on a 35mm and an 85 as well. I think this shot was 85 right now. Actually, I'll talk about this scene this
Yeah, do you
scene,
want
yeah, if you want to,
go back to the dance scene?
if you want to go back to the dancing, so the outside stuff, this was shot in a local car park at night, and one of the funny things was we used the floodlights that were in the location, and we did the wide shot, which you're just about to
There we
see.
go.
This tracking shot, which was filmed by our friend Adam Moby, glide shot, which reveals the car. This was all shot with the floodlights on, and then all the rest of the shots after this are like close-ups. And as soon as I shouted, "Oh, can I just flag that light off?" which was just off screen, all of the lights went off.
I've got it here actually.
Yeah,
we
so
can bring it up. There we go.
So all of
this is from the BTS.
Yeah.
I don't think this BTS is out yet, but if you want to watch, we've got like an on-set experience. Three episodes on the channel. I'll link it down below.
If you can go back to that the wide shot, just when we're tracking them. So if you just pause it there, so that's Dan there. We've got Ed, who's just who's recording sound with a fancy bandana on, and then Opie is operating the glide cam, and then we just had a look. That's me holding the boom and the light,
and Opie's windshield.
Yeah, as you can see behind Dan, there's a floodlight there, and there's one behind me. From where this camera is, so we got the shot and it looked amazing. A couple of times, couple of takes. It was quite windy, so we just had a, like I said, a bit of a windshield for Opie. And then in the next shot, when we're doing the close-ups, all of the lights went out. And I'm glad they went out in the close-up, because then what we did, we just kind of faked it with the aperture light that we've got, the Aperture HR627C.
You know that off by heart.
Yeah, I know that off by heart. There's the floodlights went out. So
Yeah.
we had to simulate it, but with everything being a close-up, we could kind of cheat it a little.
Because we got all of one side, didn't we, first? We got all of Dan's side, so all of these shots here.
There's actually about 6 cars that's lighting up this little bit of car park here, and you know what? It actually worked better because the entire car park was full, so you will be able to see kind of what was in the car park. There wasn't a lot, and the signs for the different shops around, so it kind of worked. And then this is just an aperture light, which works really well. So other technical things, so this scene, this was kind of all blacked out. We had blackout curtains in this big hall. We added some to the background, and again, it's the Aperture HR627Z light, just as the key. And then we've got the disco lights, which were provided by our friend Rob, who worked on the film. And it's a bit of a weird scene, this, but technically it was quite simple to do. On this reverse angle, we had to kind of move the backdrops around.
It was difficult, this scene, because there's so little space.
Yeah, there was.
If it was like a full theatre, which had like loads of space, we'd be able to move the camera around and everything. But on the right hand side was a wall and a set of stairs.
So we had to very tight, but it worked really well, and you can't really see the daylight coming in at all, because we kind of had quite a powerful light. And then the disco lights just help kind of simulate that.
It's like smoke and mirrors, isn't it? Because of the disco lights, you sort of don't really look at anything else.
Yeah, but on the other side of that is just a big hall with loads of stuff in it. And we couldn't show them the ring, we couldn't show them wrestling, even just for a second, because
that's another budget problem, isn't it?
It would cost a lot of money to get a location like that, and the time and the people to fill it. So it's kind of, you hear them, which we'll go into sound in a bit, but you hear the crowd in just off stage. So if you want to go to the main location, so the main location we used was a public toilet.
Yeah, do you see the wide?
Yeah, if you can get a wide.
I'll get the 2 shot up.
This was an all boys school.
Here we go.
Just an old school in general, which doesn't get used anymore, and it's run by a local church. So we found the location. Like I said, Emily found the location. We went and we set it up. So we boarded out all of the windows, so it's completely blacked out. And the only lights we actually used in this were the house lights. So there was 4 fluorescent lights in the scene, and we added a little bit of bounce and a little bit of negative fill at certain points, but it's all evenly lit, and it's all top lit as well, so it makes the location look a little bit grimy. But what was the beauty of this, with it all being evenly lit, and we'd never set up any lights throughout the 2 days when we shot in this location, was it made us move really quickly.
Blasted through this,
So every time we needed a shot, shoot the next shot, it was basically just frame up. We didn't have to move any lights and change a key light or a backlight. It was just all evenly lit. And we for this location, we could only shoot from 9 till 5 each day, which actually
even
helped
less on the Sunday.
Even less on the Sunday, yeah. So it helped us kind of, just schedule us out, and I think we're like 7 minutes behind on the first day.
7 minutes over,
on 7
day
minutes,
one.
And that's scheduled from Emily, but being able to just plonk the camera down and it be evenly lit and look exactly the same as in the other shot. It were hammered through the shot. So
Yeah, and we went there a couple of days beforehand, or maybe been a couple of weeks beforehand, just with a camera, didn't we? And we drew out some storyboards and a shot list, and then we went to the location and then sort of took pictures of each other and then printed them out and used them as the frame and guides for the film.
Yeah, and with all of this as well, with the kind of the cinematography of it, the color of it, so everything was a little bit green from those lights. I took that out and then I put it back in post. And the grade, I'm really happy with the grade with this. It looks nice. It looks grimy and horrible, and with it being top lit, there's lots of shadows. And yeah, I'm really happy with it.
And the location really helps with the grade as well, doesn't it? Like you gotta put color in front of the lens before you can start making a nice grade in post production.
Yeah,
and that was another part of the set design, was like, it looks great for the grade, but it also looks great because as soon as we saw that it was blue, we were like, blue always looks good.
Orange and teal, isn't it? That's I mean, there's not so much orange apart from the medium shirt, but in this as well. I mean, we blocked out all of the windows and we put flags on the skirts on the lights, a couple of days before the shoot. So when we turned up to kind of on first day of the shoot, we could just start. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a vignette from the lights from the top, which is, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. Right, next thing is special / visual effects. The only visual effects that was done in the film was Liam is actually a CGI character. No, I'm kidding. The only thing was the 80s VHS look. I mean, this is pretty simple stuff. You can find it online. It's from 16:9 to 4:3, and then you like get the channels and then separate the channels out, so it like splits it off, and then it sort of goes this like weird look to it, and then the frame drops as well. So, and then I think I added like loads of blur to it as well, just to make it not sharp, because the A7S was a bit too sharp.
Yeah.
But visual effects, we don't do a lot of visual effects.
And this was a fun scene to do as well. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And that's the only prop we've got in the whole film as well.
Which we made.
So that top bit is cut out of
an old sofa.
A sofa that we had in the studio that we've put into the kitchen. I cut a corner off the sponge of the seat and then just round. Cut it into the thing. And then
the bottom bit's a toilet roll tube. And then that's just, we've got this like foam card which was spray painted, and we made the NWF sign, and
then just sticked it on. It's just glued it on.
Fit for purpose, like it's not meant to look too fancy, and
it's supposed to look like someone's made it.
Yeah, and with the kind of overlay, we always knew if in a close up you might notice, but this type of shot you're completely fine with it. So
well, the film's supposed to be like this over the top pantomime of Northeast wrestling, isn't it? So with things like that, we can get away with it being rubbish.
Yeah, I mean this scene as well, I practiced those opening lines in my car while I was trying to work for about 3 weeks, and I don't even say anything.
Welcome back to the Northeast Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, and it was just kind of the interaction with me and Liam, but this was all improv from Liam. We went through it a couple of times, and it was funny to do. This was his last kind of shot as well, which I think he was glad of, to get the beard off, and get the
eyeliner off.
Get the eyeliner off.
He had a couple of horrible people call them names.
Yeah, and the hair and everything. He does look like Bill Bailey, but
he does look like Bill Bailey.
Right.
So. All right. The next thing we've got is editing, and I think what we'll probably talk about. I'll just play that through. We could talk about the workflow a bit more in the editing. So we finished all the shooting, got all the SD cards and did all the syncing, organised it.
So you did all of that.
Yeah, and then passed it on to you, and then
I did a rough cut in a couple of days or so.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
What I did though, there was certain bits where I was unsure. I was like, I can edit it this way, I can edit it that way. So I kind of got what I thought was right, and then I got some smaller examples of certain bits edited in a different way, and then I showed Rich just to give them an example, to show what I did.
Bit of variety.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, that works better there, and that doesn't there, and it was just kind of trimming that clip, a little bit earlier. So then once I got the rough cut done, I mean, it was the first rough cut was done, and then there was only really another one or two where it was like picture locked. I didn't really have many versions. and then I give it to you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we rendered out a smaller version,
Mm-hmm.
like a non-HD version, and then I started working on the sound design while you were doing the color grading.
Yeah.
So we were both working on it at the same time, which
Mhm.
saved a lot of time in post. Because
We had it
from the moment, it was like only a month or something, wasn't it?
from first day of edit to like final
To
render,
final export.
Yeah, it was a month.
A month.
And that's with all of the sound design kind of done and original score, which was made by our friend Jordan. It was a month, which I can't believe it was actually that quick.
Yeah.
But for being a 9-minute piece, and we don't overshoot. When we're on films, we got enough coverage. And
Yeah,
it
we
just
only
kind of-
really shoot for the edit, don't we? With a
Yeah.
couple of beats here and there at each end.
Yeah, so there was only a certain amount to do, and with it kind of being in one location, there isn't too many angles you can get anyway. So yeah, that was the workflow, and it went over quite quick. It did, which is, like I says, really surprising. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, with an original score in there as well, so it's Jordan turned that around in a week or two. So
Yeah. And we got some feedback off everyone after the first draft with the most of the sound and stuff in.
Mhm.
And there are some bits in it, some blips, a couple of like little flaws in it that would work better with other shots. But you were on holiday at the time actually, and I was looking at it, and I went back and looked on the timeline, and there was nothing to move around
no,
because we're shot for the edit. There was no like room to push it any further. So your base edit was the best version of the edit from the start anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's another budget thing. If we had loads of days, we would have shot way more than we needed.
Probably.
But
I don't think you need
DIY
that, though.
filmmaking,
No.
you got to shoot for the edit.
Yeah.
Just makes it quicker.
Yeah, just make sure beforehand that you've got enough coverage. So
Yeah.
So sound design. I mean, do you want to go into that because you did all of that?
Yeah, so the biggest part of this film in terms of sound design was getting the sound of the ring together with the music that Jordan did. We sort of added a bit of like low pass filters and high pass filters. I think I'll get an example here because we needed to create a bigger world, and obviously there's no ring. You step outside of that door and it's just a hallway into an old school.
Yeah.
So we needed to try and convince the audience that there's activity going on out here. I'll see if I can turn this up.
Yeah, this is when the
should
other
be
two
able to
wrestlers
hear.
come in.
Yeah, there's a bit of activity with them coming in and out a few times, and I suppose that's the biggest part of it. Let me see if I can play this here.
So yeah, this is when the other wrestlers come in. They've just been into like their wrestling match, and just to make the kind of world kind of seem bigger. So we put the disco lights there that you see later on, but also the sound of a crowd, which you can hear slightly throughout. So you actually hear the other wrestlers wrestling as well earlier on. So it's very subtle, but kind of just opens up the world and builds the world up, just to make it's a bigger soundscape. It's there's people outside, and then later on you do actually hear like the crowd.
Yeah.
Cheers and stuff, and then you hear the commentator, which is me, like introducing the characters, and it's all very subtle, but if it wasn't there, you wouldn't notice it.
Yeah.
You might not notice that it is there, but if it wasn't, the world just wouldn't feel full enough. So
I learned a lot from doing the sound design on this. I thought I had it cracked with doing the indie film sound guide, but the getting the dialogue just right, in terms of the leveling, I think that was what.
Yeah. So what we did, we tested it on many different devices. So we tested on obviously the computer, we tested on phones, and we tested on our TVs as well.
Yeah.
And I think I noticed that I had to turn it up to like 50 on my TV.
Yeah, mine was very low as well.
But me Netflix is just like 15.
Yep.
At a good level. So it was like, all right, that's.
So when I came back, I just needed to raise everything up, and at first you think, oh well, I don't want to make it too noisy. But a little bit of hiss and noise, as long as it's consistent, is a lot less annoying than having to turn your volume up and down. And one of the biggest parts of like mixing and editing your sound is making sure that you as the sound mixer, you're the one doing the volume up and down.
Yeah.
Someone sitting there shouldn't have to turn it up and down. Imagine if you're in the cinema and you had a remote in your hand.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure all that's done. So what I did was I put, I'll just turn this down a bit. I put Stranger Things on the computer, listened to it,
Yeah.
and then straight away went on the audition and listened to it, and yeah, you could see you could hear it was way too quiet.
Yeah. So that's definitely something we've learned for the next one.
Yeah, and there was some wild takes inside it, so byproducts of recording the dialogue that I'd left in at first, things like the door opening, but as soon as I started recording them, because literally everything's re-recorded other than the dialogue.
All of the sounds, yeah, apart from
so I had to go around and like mute all of that and put them back in, and then as soon as that happened, it became a film again.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear the crowd here. So there's like crowd, and might as well go into music if you want, since that's...
Yeah, so the music was original score from Jordan Miller, who is one of our neighbours in the studio.
Yeah.
He runs a
recording studio
like round the corner, and he was interested in the film from the get-go.
Yeah.
And he was like, I want to write some cheesy 80s pop rock for this film.
What you can do is, if you skip back to the kind of where the medium's standing there, you can hear like his song. So
I'll go from the end.
Yeah. So the fly swatter is currently listening to something right now, and then it's going to cut to the medium's beginning of his soundtrack, and which is like a bit rocky, and then you've got some 80s synth later on, and it's just all original. And what he made this to the beat as well, so he made that song 20 seconds long, this one 1 minute long, and it's kind of, when you're trying to find that them types of tracks online, especially if you're trying to find a royalty free, you've got to edit it in a certain way, and you've kind of got to mess around with it to get it right. This was, it was made fit for purpose type thing.
Yeah.
And it just shows you. And as soon as I heard it, because I think I come back from holiday after not seeing the film for a week or so, and then I seen the film with the sound and the music on. I was just like, oh, this is something else now. This is even better. And I didn't actually have any notes, I don't think. So if you can, try and collaborate with someone who is interested in making music, because having that individual track of like this one now it's original. It is. So. Right. So
well, this is the first time working with a composer from the very start, and I didn't know how to work with a composer, so. Essentially what we did was we just gave Jordan an idea of what the characters were like, and he went away with his musical genius, and he knows that there's these certain notes and chords and majors and minors and treble clefs and quavers and all this hemi-demi semi-quavers.
And skips and that.
There's like these languages in music that he translated from what we told him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just put that on. The medium, he says he got like a theremin, because it's like a fortune teller, sort of like eerie, ghostly.
Yep.
So he put all of that sort of bright musical language into it. And then I spent about a day just lying on his floor, just listening to it and changing little bits about. And there was some points where he wrote like a slow piano melody for the fly swatter when he was leaving away. But we soon discovered that all of the music in the film is diegetic. So there's nothing that doesn't exist in the world. There's no real soundtrack for the film at all. It's all happening there, so the characters can hear it. So we needed to change it, and he wrote a song like in about 20 minutes. He was like, I'll just do this, and just mocked it up and started playing on his electric piano.
Again, having people that's more talented
It's
than
just
yourself
crazy.
is
absolutely mental.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
Just kind of collaborating with people like that, being who's passionate about it, like that's the main thing about filmmaking. They make it funner, don't they? So
Yeah.
right. So we're coming to the end, but so how would you do it kind of differently?
I would like to create a few more obstacles.
Yeah.
So the main obstacle for the film is that he doesn't want to go out and wrestle, and I think that would be like the first thing. But then I think his goal should change, and he should do another one. But this is then becoming like a feature film rather than a short film.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I would like to see the fly swatter sort of go to his car, but it's actually like a crowd of people, and they're eating hot dogs, and there's carnival games going on.
It's a bigger event than what this is, I suppose.
Yeah.
With the medium as well, it's kind of like seeing his life in the real world, and seeing how much he loves this, and just no one takes him seriously until he kind of walks into this building.
And then he's the local celebrity.
So
Yeah.
you know, his job is just a mundane job. He just, and he's always excited to kind of like gets to the weekend and like he can go and wrestle.
Yeah.
Everything else is just he's not really that bothered about, and just building up that world even more. In the terms of kind of like this piece, it is, like I said earlier, it's when the fly swatter goes back, it just needs something more. I only really realised that once the edit was in, because I didn't think how short that scene was, and it does work, but I just think
just a little bit more impact.
Yeah. And probably given if it was longer, I suppose the fly swatter would have more dialogue, because I didn't realise until really we're on set how little Dan has to do, say. But it I suppose the medium's character is a bit more bigger, talkative, and he wants to talk about himself, just to try and convince him to go back out.
Yeah, potentially adding more dialogue to Dan's part might ruin his part in a way.
Yeah,
because then he's no longer the silent, nervous type who changes character.
If we could, I would love to see them wrestle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the wrestling does not matter who wins the match. But I think,
just seeing the crowd.
Another thing as well, I would love to change is it's kind of, it would be shown how big the medium is within this world, I suppose, and how you might have a little stall and it's selling medium merchandise, and show how big the NWF is, and that it's actually a big serious thing. Not like WWF still haven't local, but just show how big he is, and show more of his fans, and building up that world like even more. And it kind of maybe even show people having signs about the fly swatter, about how rubbish he is, even though they don't know who he is, and it's just creating that more conflict between that and showing that the audience
building up a bigger universe.
And bigger suspense, I suppose, if he's going to go out, and if he doesn't go out, what's going to happen? If you don't go out,
building the stakes up a bit more.
Yeah. So if he doesn't go out, it's just like, well, what they're going to do to him? Because he could just run away, and what's the consequences?
Yeah.
You don't quite get that in this. And I suppose one of the other things as well, just try and make it a little bit more 80s. Within the world. I think we had a comment that they didn't realise it was just kind of in this fictional world.
I quite like that about it, though.
Yeah.
I like that it doesn't. It sort of points towards a certain time, but it's not like this is 80s.
Yeah. It's just
guaranteed.
This weird world, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the car in this is 80s. Like, you can't really get away from it, but everything else. But yeah, you're probably right. You probably don't need it to be.
I like the idea that there isn't a decade completely attached to it.
Yeah.
Most films, when they do that, it seems like they go a little bit more timeless.
Yeah.
Not to say that this is going to be timeless film, but
well, I suppose the wrestler, that's quite timeless. It doesn't really put a date on it.
It doesesn't steer. But you don't see technology.
Yeah, things like Glow is very much set in the 80s, because that's when that original story was set.
Yeah.
And it works for that.
All right. Do you think this got the film look then?
Personally, yes, I think it did. I'm very happy with it. I can be as critical as I want about it, but I'm very pleased with the outcome. Like it says, there is things I would like to improve.
But those are only things you saw after it was finished.
Yeah, and I think going through kind of all of the points, we concentrated so much on costume and so much on set design, which, like we said, we haven't done before. So just achieving that aspect of the film look, I know for next time.
Yeah, it's kind of like we know how much we need to do in order to achieve something. As much as we think this one.
Yeah, the more you put in, the more you get out of it. And for this, we put more into this production.
Yeah.
We spent, we had the script, and then from when we were like, right, we're going to make this, it was 10, 12 weeks from like organising everything and the first finishing the third shoot day.
Yeah.
And then a month after that, it was we had an edit to go out, and it was really weird because we had this edit finished, but the film didn't go out on the channel for another 6 weeks, and it was just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to show people to see what people thought about it. So 3 days, £450, just say, cast of 3, 4 technically, me and you in it as well.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, shooting over 3 days. Crew of about 6 or 7, which, you know, invaluable. Couldn't done it without them. I'm happy with it. So
Yeah.
and it makes us excited. When I was on set, I just wanted to. I could have done another 5 days.
Yeah.
Like I was by the 3rd day, I was like, yeah, I could keep going on this. First day, quite nervous, but I think that's just like the
Always
the,
happens
like
on
the
day
fly
one,
swatter.
doesn't it? Yeah.
kind of like the fly swatter in this film, and it just makes us want to get excited to make the next one, and just keep making them. So
Yeah, I'm on the same level as you. There are things in this that, you know, once you've finished with it, there are things you can pick out. But I really like the fact that I can pick out things because it means that we're growing as filmmakers. As soon as you finish something, you can look back and you can see what you want to improve. All that means is you're then aware of improving that on the next film.
Yeah.
And I think...
Because you don't kind of know it until you've done it.
Yeah.
So you know that whole thing of you've just got to keep
just
making.
got to make mistakes.
Like, make something bad, make something good, make something better, make something like awesome. Like, you know, it will happen.
Yeah.
So this is a process of more you put into it, the more you put out.
And it's just another learning experience, isn't it? This film was never going to be something that we're going to enter into
all the film festivals.
All the film festivals and try and like win an Oscar with it or anything. It was a sort of stretch the muscles. Let's see what we can do. Let's get a very basic storyline going.
Let's concentrate on some specific things like costume and set. Which as soon as we wrote it, we're like, right, we can make a video about that and make a video about that, and you know that's kind of how we work as well. So
yeah.
Right, I suppose...
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we've kind of been critical about it. If you've made it this far, we'd like to know what you think about it. If you want to know any more information as well. And we've got a bunch of videos on this still coming out. But yeah, just let us know what you think and if you've got any questions about anything about this. Because you might ask something and we might go,
oh, we can make a video on that.
We can make a video about it. I didn't realise I've learned something else from someone else watching it. And there's critical feedback as, you know, as you can.
Yeah, basically. We love a good critique. And if you like this sort of longer voice content, we also do have a podcast called the Film Look Podcast. You can find it on iTunes and on Android. There will be links down below. We aren't joined by Christian today, but Christian is the third member of the Film Look, and he joins us every week for the Film Look Podcast.
He worked on this film.
He certainly did. Yeah, he was. What was he? Script supervisor.
Yeah, he's the really tall. Yeah, he's the really tall one in the film.
He was the one who goes medium.
Yeah, at the very end. So you'll see him.
So yeah, you can check that out with the links below. Thank you all for listening and watching the film. And if you haven't seen the film, that's going to be linked below. Basically, you can find anything in the links in the description below.
Many links.
Until next time. See ya.
Bye.